Well, hey Sean, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Woohoo! What's up, Vine Life?
Man, we're so honored that you take a few minutes. I know you're really busy right now, all kinds of things happen, and I heard you're leaving again, um, hopping on a plane again soon. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask you a couple questions, man. We're excited to have you out here next month for Resound, first of all.
Oh, and I am so pumped to be with you guys. It's like gonna be such a blast.
It's gonna be amazing, man. And so, hopefully, this will just be a little preview of that. As I was talking to you, we're in the middle of a worship series right now, and it's just been an awesome time talking about what it means to be a worshiping people. And I wanted to see if you actually had some stories or some insights that you would want to share with us about what's actually happening. What is the power as the church is faithful to gather in worship?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm coming to you from my man cave, so there's a little bit of Colorado behind me. See that? For those of you hunters, and I got my camo hat on, so I'm dialed in right now. Um, but what's really awesome is you're actually catching me. I'm leaving in 3 days to go to Iraq. And so actually 2.5. So I'm literally today getting everything ready, and we're bringing a big team of worshipers over there. And if you've been watching the news, they're pushing for the liberation of Mosul, which is the headquarters of ISIS in Iraq. And what's crazy about what you're talking about, and really I feel like your focus of your church as you're in this season leading up to Resound, in the middle of these crazy elections, that's just you know gosh, man, it's just the anxiety levels and the fear and the crazy stuff is through the roof. And really, I believe there's no greater time for the church globally than to center herself in this season in the place of worship. And we're witnessing all over the world, and especially all over America right now, such an incredible hunger, desire, passion to be in the presence of God, for that atmosphere of heaven to be in the room. For really, it's actually the most natural atmosphere to us. It's what we're created for. It's what we're going to spend eternity in. But what's interesting about Iraq, and even right now, some of the number one requests for the Kurdish generals that are leading this push against ISIS, they're actually asking for Christian musicians to go before them. I mean, literally, I'm not making this up. I was there myself earlier this year with my whole family. I'll be there again twice. I'm really pumped to come to Resound and share with you guys amazing testimonies. But we're gathering for 100 hours nonstop. We're kicking it off in 4 days, really, in Mosul, about 30 kilometers from the ISIS front lines, and we'll be gathered with, hundreds of Kurds, Yazidis, Arabs, people from all over the region, Turks that have come. And what we've noticed and what we've seen is that every time that we gather for one of these significant strikes of worship and prayer, that God literally moves on our behalf. I mean, we're seeing Jehoshaphat, and second, first set of Chronicles. We're seeing, Gideon type deliverance. We're seeing, the same thing that Paul and Silas entered into when they sung in that prison. And I feel like, what's so exciting to me is that we're not just reading these stories in our children's Bible as a fairy tale, but we're actually living in a day and age where God is manifesting this spirit of worship that's shifting not just the atmospheres, which we need now in America, with anxiety and fear, just all the crap going on. We just need to come up higher, deeper, get a revelation of who God is and his never changing, his unchanging nature. But I feel like also that the Lord is giving us these. He's given us these cities and these regions and these dark places, where literally, I mean, I was watching the debate last night. Nobody has an answer for ISIS, the most sophisticated government in the history of the world, the largest military in the history of mankind, has no answer for this terrorist organization. But yet we are seeing that every time we worship, they're being defeated. I mean, the last time we were together and we did 100 hours, we saw the entire liberation of the Mount Sinjar region, which even the United States governments and even this the Turkish forces, the Kurdish forces were like, this is going to be impossible to root them out of this area. Well, supernaturally during that 100 hours, it was delivered, and we're actually going to take credit for that. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but we're actually going to believe that as we worship and we pray, that he sends ambushes against the camp of the enemy and he works on our behalf, and so I think a big part in my encouragement, even on a local level, for you guys in church and for you guys in your 9 to 5s, in your just in the grind of life and in the mundaneness of what we're called to do, in our role, whatever in this season, is to just recognize that the whole definition of worship, it's being changed in our generation, and we're not looking at it anymore as a 3 fast and 3 slow prelude, to the preaching. We're not looking at it as a robotic exercise, but God is actually giving us amazing revelation and incredible testimonies right now to show us that that literally it says that he's enthroned, or he establishes his government on the praises of his people. Like, when we worship, we're building a throne. You want to talk about powers, principalities. You want to talk about government, It says in Isaiah 9, the government will be on his shoulders. And we're literally, when we worship, when we sing, it's so crazy to me that God would establish his rule and reign when we sing and worship. I love Mike Bickle's definition, worship and prayer. He says worship and prayer is telling God what he tells us to tell him. He just breaks it down, really simple. And it's true. We worship according to the pattern that's in the Bible. And when we do it, he comes. Things get better. Things change. The atmosphere lifts, enemies get defeated, and cancer gets driven out. And I mean, we all have lots of testimonies we could share. But it really is exciting, guys. I mean, I got the camo on because we're going into the war zone, but it really is exciting what God is doing. And I can't wait to share more testimonies when we're together. So keep going for it, Vinelife. You guys are such heroes in the region and in really in the Rocky Mountain stretch there, man. You guys are just lifting the furnace of worship. You're going for it, and it's so encouraging.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, Sean. Hey, so while I got you on the phone, how can we pray for you as you leave for Iraq?
Yeah, I would say, we've been praying ever since last year. A big part of our prayer request, honestly, was that, and at the time it seemed so impossible, that 600,000 prisoners of ISIS and over 5,000 sex slaves, little girls and women that are in cages. We've been praying over a year that they would be liberated, and so it is just the timing of God that they're mounting this offensive right as we're kicking into this 100 hours. And honestly, we're just praying that God would bring complete deliverance to that city. In Mosul, just so you guys know your biblical history, it's actually ancient Nineveh. So this is the city where the greatest revival in the history of the world took place, with Jonah, which was an angry prophet. It's just funny, how God uses people. But we have a precedent and a history, and we're really believing for just amazing. We want to really lock into the heart of the Lord in our sets. And of course, we're going to be doing a lot of work with the refugees. We have a huge campaign that we're rolling out for Christmas, where we want to provide 1,000 kerosene heaters and new tents and blankets and toys. And I'll share with you guys that about that next week. But really, our focus in this 100 hours is we want to see, Isaiah, I think it's 56, or 59. Is this not the fast I have chosen to loose the chains of injustice and to set the prisoners free? So that's what we're praying into, guys, is freedom of that city. So join with us.